Welcome back to the Mesa Arts Center in the Arizona Republican presidential debate. Let's get right back to questioning the four contenders for the Republican nomination. We take a question now from CNNPolitics.com. You can see it up on the screen here. Since birth control is the latest hot topic, which candidate believes in birth control, and if not, why? As you can see, it's a very popular question. It's a very popular question in the audience, as we can see. Look, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but it is. Please.
Can I just make a point?
Sure.
These guys are giving you some feedback here, John.
I see that.
I think they're making it very clear.
I think this. I'm going to make two quick points, John. The first is there is a legitimate question about the power of the government to impose on religion activities which any religion opposes. That's legitimate.
There is.
But I just want to point out, you did not once in the 2008 campaign, not once did anybody in the elite media ask why Barack Obama voted in favor of legalizing infanticide. Okay? So let's be clear here. If we're going to have a debate about who the extremist is on these issues, it is President Obama, who as a state senator voted to protect doctors who killed babies who survived the abortion. It is not the Republicans.
What's happened? John, what's happened, and you recall back in the debate that we had George Stephanopoulos talking all about birth control, we wondered why in the world and contraception, and it's like, why is he going there? Well, we found out when Barack Obama continued his attack on religious conscience. I don't think we've seen in the history of this country the kind of attack on religious conscience, religious freedom, religious tolerance that we've seen under Barack Obama. Most recently, of course, most recently requiring the Catholic Church to provide for its employees and its various enterprises health care insurance that would include birth control, sterilization, and the morning after pill. Unbelievable. And he tried to retreat from that, but he retreated in a way that was not appropriate because these insurance companies now have to provide these same things, and obviously the Catholic Church will end up paying for them. But don't forget the decision just before this, where he said the government, not a church, but the government should have the right to determine who a church's ministers are for the purposes of determining whether they're exempt from EEOC or from workforce laws or labor laws. He said the government should make that choice. That went all the way to the Supreme Court. There are a few liberals on the Supreme Court. They voted 9-0 against President Obama. His position... So his position on religious tolerance, on religious conscience, is clear, and it's one of the reasons the people in this country are saying we want to have a president who will stand up and fight for the rights under our Constitution, our first right, which is for freedom of religion.
So let's focus the time we spend on this, on the role of a president and your personal views, and question the role of government. And Senator Santorum, this has come up. Yes, it has come up because of the president's decision in the campaign. It's also come up because of some of the things you have said on the campaign trail. When you were campaigning in Iowa, you told an evangelical blog, if elected, you will talk about what, quote, no president has talked about before, the dangers of contraception. Why?
What I was talking about is we have a society. Charles Murray just wrote a book about this, and it's on the front page of the New York Times 2 days ago, which is the increasing number of children being born out of wedlock in America, teens who are sexually active. And what we're seeing is a problem in our culture with respect to children being raised by children, children being raised out of wedlock, and the impact on society economically, the impact on society with respect to drug use and all a host of other things when children have children. And so, yes, I was talking about these very serious issues. And in fact, as I mentioned before, 2 days ago on the front page of the New York Times, they're talking about the same thing. The bottom line is that we have a problem in this country, and the family is fracturing. Over 40% of children born in America are born out of wedlock. How can a country survive if children are being raised in homes where it's so much harder to succeed economically? It's 5 times the rate of poverty in single-parent households than it is in two-parent homes. We can't have limited government, lower tax. We hear this all the time. So you cut spending, limit the government, everything will be fine. No, everything's not going to be fine. There are bigger problems at stake in America. And someone is going to go out there, I will, and talk about the things. And you know what? Here's the difference. The left gets all upset. Oh, look at him talking about these things. You know, here's the difference between me and the left, and they don't get this. Just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean I want a government program to fix it. That's what they do. That's not what we do.
Congressman Paul.
As an OB doctor, I've dealt with birth control pills and contraception for a long time. This is a consequence of the fact the government has control of medical care and medical insurance, and then we fight over how we dictate how this should be distributed. Sort of like in schools, once the government takes over the schools, especially at the federal level, then there's no right position. Then you have to argue which prayer, are you allowed to pray, and you get into all the details. The problem is the government's getting involved in things they shouldn't be involved, especially at the federal level. But sort of along the line of the pills creating the immorality, I don't see it that way. I think the immorality creates the problem of wanting to use the pills, so you don't blame the pills. I think it's sort of like the argument, conservatives use the argument all the time about guns. Guns don't kill, criminals kill. So in a way, it's the morality of society that we have to deal with. The pill is there and, you know, it contributes maybe, but the pills can't be blamed for the immorality of our society.
Yeah.
John, Governor, please.
Yeah. John, you know, I think as Rick has just said, this isn't an argument about contraceptives. This is a discussion about, are we going to have a nation which preserves the foundation of the nation, which is the family, or are we not? And Rick is absolutely right. When you have 40% of kids being born out of wedlock, and among certain ethnic groups, the vast majority being born out of wedlock, you ask yourself, how are we going to have a society in the future? Because these kids are raised in poverty in many cases. They are in abusive settings. The likelihood of them being able to finish high school or college drops dramatically in single-family homes. And we haven't been willing to talk about this. And when we have programs that say we're going to teach abstinence in schools, the liberals go crazy and try and stop us from doing that. We have to have a president who's willing to say that the best opportunity an individual can give to their unborn child is an opportunity to be born in a home with a mother and a father. And I think...
I mean, it's an issue on which all of you have criticism of the Obama administration. It's an issue on which some of you have also criticized each other. Governor Romney, both Senator Santorum and Speaker Gingrich have said during your tenure as governor, you required Catholic hospitals to provide emergency contraception to rape victims. And, Mr. Speaker, you compared the governor to President Obama, saying he infringed on Catholics' rights. Governor, did you do that?
Nope, absolutely not. Of course not.